Look, man, the league's suspended, okay? Don't judge me. Welcome back, everybody, and in today's video, it's time to be completely, brutally honest about the New York Knicks and how much of a dumpster fire of a franchise they are. So the New York Knicks are the complete laughingstock in the NBA, right? Like, they are synonymous with the term joke as it relates to the NBA in the last 20 years. And the only reason that they're remotely relevant is because of their name, because of the city that they play in, and because of the arena that they play in. That's it. If everything else was removed, if you took away that stuff and every team in the league was just judged on the success that they'd had in the last 20 years, the New York Knicks would be all the way at the bottom. And to be completely honest, it wouldn't even really be remotely close. And what makes that even better is that there's some kind of delusion that makes them think that they are somehow better than any other NBA franchise, which leads to more and more wrong decisions and more failures. So if all those things were taken away and they treated themselves like a normal franchise rather than putting themselves up on some kind of pedestal, maybe they wouldn't have struck out for the last 90 years in free agency. Maybe if they had just approached team building and rebuilding from a regular standpoint rather than, oh, we're the New York Knicks, we can do all these different cool things, maybe they'd actually have more playoff appearances than they do in the last 20 years, which, let me count, isn't many. And you might be thinking to yourself in this moment, but you know, they've got a nice young core they're building up there in New York. They've got some good players. The roster's starting to come together. There's a plan there long term where they're going to do this right. They're going to bring in young players. They're not going to do the free agency thing anymore. Okay, let's go ahead and look at their roster. One of the more exciting players on the roster is RJ Barrett. Oh, you mean the left-handed Andrew Wiggins? That's nice. Oh, Mitchell Robinson is a nice piece, you know, guy that can rim protect. Okay, poor man's Hassan Whiteside. That's nice. And all up and down this roster, there's disappointment after Excuse me? Wait, they just signed another power forward. The league's suspended. How does that even happen? And then you have this part of Knicks fans that, for whatever reason, continues to believe in the abilities and the talent of Frank Ntilikina. Well, I've got a newsflash for you, a little piece of advice. He's the French Dante Exum. Is he even French? I guess he's French. Regardless, he's the French Dante Exum. That's what he is. So enjoy that for the next couple of years. And just keeps on going down the line. Guys like Dennis... Actually, we're not going to slander Dennis Smith Jr. in this video. But the point is, there's a long line on this roster of free agency busts and draft busts, and that is probably the most hilarious thing about this whole situation is they have had opportunity after opportunity to bring in nice young players, and they've failed almost every single time. Now, I should give them some credit, right? They brought in some players. I don't want to be too harsh. They brought in some players that, you know, can provide some value to a team, do a couple of nice things, can potentially develop into something down the road, you know, for a couple of G League rosters. So that's a nice contribution. But for their actual NBA team, the last player that they drafted themselves that made an all-star team for the New York Knicks was Kristaps Porzingis, who they traded away for what is probably going to amount to essentially nothing except for that cap space that you got last summer. And then before that, before Kristaps, do you know who the last all-star that the Knicks drafted that became an all-star for their team? It was David Lee back in 2006. Like, just imagine trying to continually defend this franchise that is completely delusional about their actual standing within the NBA and uses that delusion to continue to make the wrong decision every single time. Can never draft a good young player despite countless chances over the last 10 years. And even when they draft a good one, they develop them for a little bit and then they move them somewhere else, or they leave and they become successful somewhere else. Unless, of course, you're counting David Lee. Now let's get a little bit personal here. In the last 7 years of my life, I've done some things. I've graduated from college, started a YouTube channel, got over 75,000 people to subscribe to me. Is that really it? I should probably be doing more with my life. But you know what's crazy? I have played in the exact same number of NBA playoff games in the last 7 years that the New York Knicks have. 0. But like I said in the last section, this is a team that's supposed to be about the future, right? They're going to build things the right way. They're going to get in all these young players and they're going to develop them and they're going to have a nice young core. Well, let's go ahead and look at the future forecast for this team. It looks like, I don't know, a slight chance of a 30-win season in the next 3 to 4 years and probably 2 to 3 more head coaches in that time span. That's what it looks like right now. But hey, if this young core thing doesn't work out and these young players don't develop, you know what they always have? They always have free agency. They always have the allure of bringing in players into New York, playing in Madison Square Garden, being a New York Knick. That's a huge deal to players, right? That always works out for them. They always have that to fall back on. Except for the fact that the Brooklyn Nets took 2 of the biggest free agents away from them this offseason when they thought they had it right in their hands. And you know what it was? It was themselves. It was DeAndre Jordan coming over to the team and realizing, guys, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, this is not where we want to be. They sabotaged their own free agency because of how bad of an environment it was for DeAndre Jordan to be in. Okay, now to be fair, maybe they do have a legitimate chance of signing someone like Giannis Antetokounmpo or Kawhi Leonard or Paul George in free agency in 2020. Are you serious? Another power forward? The league is suspended. How is this happening? Wait, the entire roster just... Are you sure? The entire roster just requested a trade. That makes sense to me.